All right, aloha and welcome to another Aloha Friday drip. This is Tyler Deveraux here on the Growth Cast, and today I do not have Jackson Campbell with me. I have an even better guest, an exciting guest that I'm about to introduce you to, that I'm excited to introduce you to. And I'll say this before we dive into all that. Okay, a quick little recap of how the Growth Cast goes. Dallas does daily drips Monday through Thursday, little 3 to 5 minute drips, mindset drips that are fantastic. Then I do an Aloha Friday episode with Jackson typically. But we're going to start weaving in some interviews like today. Some powerful individuals in the mindset and the multifamily space that you can learn from. And that's why I'm excited about today. Very, very excited about today. And then on Saturdays, Jackson and Dallas do an extended cut where they get into a deep dive of one of the principles that Dallas spoke about. But today I'm excited to introduce you to Fiya Mosley. Fiya, welcome to the Growth Cast.
Thank you. It's like that new song says, it's about damn time, right? That we have a conversation.
Lizzo. I love Lizzo, man.
If it was a 90s artist, I'd tell you who it was, but I know it's some new chick, so.
It's about damn time. Hey, we got to play that in the edits, man. Hey, let me introduce you to Fiya real quick, okay? Fiya holds a B. What does BS mean? Is that bullshit or is that Bachelor of Science? Or I didn't go to college, so I'm not quite sure. It's both, is what you're saying?
Scientific bullshit. I learned more in my real life. I'm telling you, I took drug and alcohol addiction class and I knew more than the teacher. So from my, family life experiences.
Oh,
So
dude, I
science
bet.
of bullshit. There you go. It's
Hey,
both.
and we're going to get into some of that too, man. She has some pretty just an inspiring background of what she's come from that I know. I'll tell you this, man, this episode is going to help so many of you. And I sincerely believe this to my core that this episode is overdue for a long time because I know that so many of you will benefit from this episode. Listen, she has a background in health education from Boise State University. She's also experienced in real estate sales and multifamily real estate ownership. She also has a background in juvenile detention, which is where this passion of hers just came for mentoring, teens and troubled youth. And I don't know if you know this, Fiya, but my dad actually is a clinical social worker and ran a group home for troubled youth for a very, very long time. And so and actually I mentored troubled youth in my early 20s. I don't know if you know that, but something that I'm super passionate about as well. And now she's using real estate and everything that she's doing there to develop young adults into leaders, man, and help them become positive, prosperous contributors to society, which I freaking love that you have used this platform in such a unique way to do that. Her team over the past year since attending our class has closed 172 units, 172 units over the past year, which is awesome. So Fiya, let's freaking dive into this thing, man. Tell them just a quick intro, a little bit about your background, when you joined the multifamily mindset, maybe even why you decided to join, whatever you would like to.
Yeah, definitely. I did grocery for 12 years. I have worked with my hands since I was a kid. My dad had a pool cleaning service in Southern California, so I was up in my preteen years, cleaning swimming pools at 5 o'clock in the morning. Actually, I worked all day, but anyway, so mostly physical work. And then I did go to college when I was 35 to get the bachelor's degree. I saw myself doing something like health coaching. I've always wanted to do some kind of coaching or mentoring. I had thought about getting a counseling license, but I didn't want to be in that box. I went and got my bachelor's degree working at juvenile detention. You're in a box. You can't help the kids past what you're told that you can say and do. And quite frankly, it's not very effective. So when I left my job there, I had another job doing ankle monitors for DUIs, domestic violence, and sexual assault, things I feel very strongly against. So that was pretty weird for me. And then I had a computer job where I sat there and was like, I'm done with this. I'm going to quit my job. God, the universe is going to provide something for me. I just need to have that faith. I didn't go through all the shit I went through in my life to be sitting here behind a computer doing what somebody else wants. So I up and quit my job in April and then got an email for Multifamily Mindset. I think it was an email, I'm pretty sure. And I have no idea why I went. I was definitely led there because I get those emails all the time and I never show up. I'll even sign up, but I never go. So it was really interesting because I was with a good friend of mine who was 86, who had just went through cancer. I took him just for fun, um, get him out of the house, have something for him to do. But I just kept sitting there thinking like, what does this have to do with me, starting a program for teens or where I saw myself, but I think sometimes when you release the how, you just keep stepping and keep working on your internal self and surrender to God, to the universe, surrender how it's going to happen. I knew when I was at that seminar, it was right for me. And I was like, I don't get it. This just doesn't seem to relate at all. But once I joined, and the whole team thing really appealed to me. When I had tried residential sales, it was so boring. It was so freaking boring. I could have done really well. I started out doing really well, and I was like, no, this is boring. I don't like all the data and all that. So this has been really fun for me. It's allowed me to learn a lot about myself. When you go into business for yourself, it definitely has hard times, but you learn so much about yourself. So this is the
Totally.
best decision that I made.
Dude, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, man, because that was so powerful. You said, so I can't say it as eloquently as you said, but I just want to really drill this home because I believe it's such a learning lesson, which is when you forget the how and just surrender yourself, amazing things can happen. And you knew what you were looking to accomplish, right? But and then you said, and you just focus on growing yourself. So like you knew what the goal was, and I know that you know what the goal was because you mentioned it to me one of the first conversations that we ever even had. You mentioned it. It was a message. You sent me a message, I think, on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere, and you had mentioned it, and so you knew that, and so like surrendering the how and just like continuing to grow and build yourself, dude. That is so powerful. That's so powerful. I think that so many people just get caught up on the how does this relate? How is this going to work? How is this going to, and then because of that, they stop growing themselves and they get stuck in a place where they feel unfulfilled, right?
That's true. And it's not easy because we want to be in control of our lives for so many reasons, especially like how we were talking about earlier. When you are a victim as a child of abuse and different things like that, of course you want control over your life, which is funny because oftentimes victims put just the familiarity, you keep putting yourself in these situations where you're going to get screwed over. That's your mentality that's just coming back in a circle around to you, whether it's relationships or business or jobs, all that. And you don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes, So we're sitting here trying to control this path. And I've done it even in multifamily with my
Yeah.
team, you're like, death grip. And it doesn't work that way. And when you allow yourself to not know and get comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen next, then the real magic starts. But you keep those visuals in your head. I had from day one, my first property is going to be 150 units or more. And
Dude.
talking to sponsors and having them be like, oh, yeah, no 60, no 80. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I would ride the wave, but in my head, I was like 150 or more.
Dude, I love it. So how do you do that? So what's your process with? Because I remember you saying that too. There was a couple things there. One was 150 units. I remember that, or 150 plus. And how do you do? What's your goal setting system? Like, do you set this goal? Do you read them out loud? Do you write them down? And what's your process with that?
Yeah, well, I know I'm sure I could improve, and I'm learning new ways to do it all the time, but definitely I write things down. I really like Earl Nightingale. There's a video out on YouTube called The Strangest Secret. So it's like a 1 month goal that you put on one side of the card, seek ye first. No, knock and it shall be open. You know what I'm talking about. How does that scripture go? Ask and it shall be given. Knock and
Knocking.
the door shall be open. Anyway, I think everyone knows what I'm trying to say. And then on the other side of the card, you put a 1 month out date with like something very specific, like one thing. So that's a good way to go. I write
Yeah.
down in my journal every morning, like if I have three different things, I always have something physically I'm working on since I had a brain tumor when I was 19, and I was over 200 pounds in high school. You better believe I am always working on my physical being, so I always
Wow.
have goals there. And then like a second property right now, a second property is on my goal list. And what else? Yeah, just being fulfilled with what I'm doing. I usually have a couple things I'm writing down every morning, but then I meditate every morning and I see what visuals pop in my head. And actually having you as my sponsor on the first deal was something that I had was I don't know. I just like loved your energy. And when I watched all the videos on the path, I was like so entertained. I kept thinking like, man, me and this guy were like best friends in high school back in another life, if you believe in another life. You know what I mean? Like
I
everything
love
you
it.
said, I was just like, wow, we need to talk. It was so fun. It was so fun. You really have that nailed down. Really, what we were saying earlier, the education and entertainment, you have it nailed.
Thank you. I freaking appreciate that a ton. I remember, listen, I remember you would post it on, you would either sent me a message or you would post it on our Facebook page. It said something like, man, I like watching these videos, like, Tyler's funny. Like Tyler's funny, like I'm laughing as I'm learning and something like that. And I was like, God, I love her. I love her. All right, you're right out the freaking gates, dude. Because damn it, I am funny. And you know what? Most people don't point that out, but it's funny. I am funny. Damn it.
Yeah,
So
that's
God
one thing
bless you,
I feel
Fiya.
about myself too. Like it's so interesting how we shouldn't say those good things about like who taught us all this shit we learned growing up. Do you know,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is unlearning.
Oh yeah.
Unlearning. So yeah, it's funny. I probably would have been embarrassed to say that about myself in the past, but even one of my cousins was like, I'll pay if you go do a stand-up comedy lesson. I was like, okay, maybe someday. I don't know.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I actually love watching stand-up um, comedy to learn how to like present a message. Because you think about how amazing they are at presenting a message; they're incredible. So I love that kind of stuff. I mean, I love comedy anyway. But dude, you're awesome. I will tell you, like your background and your history is. Do you mind if we get into a little bit of that actually?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so
Yes.
talk about a little bit about your because dude, think about what you just mentioned there. You were over 200 pounds in high school. You had a brain tumor at 19, and there's more, even way more details. Like, how have you turned your past into the why that it is today? And what challenges and things did you need to overcome to get where you are today? I know it's kind of a deep question, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a deep person. My ex-husband used to be like, don't have a conversation with her unless you want to go way down into the ocean. So
hey, let's get
I've
down there,
always
man.
been I've always been like that, even as a kid, and I think it does help to uh now as an adult to know your why, because when I was a kid I used to question that all the time. So my father came from Lebanon and he started a business in Ventura, California, where I grew up, but he wasn't around very much. And when he was, I'm the oldest child. So my mom actually got pregnant with me in Lebanon and I was born in California. And when I was about 11, my dad took me from my mom and I didn't see her for like 3 years. So I was basically locked in a house. I worked from 5 a.m. until 8 p.m. at night after school or so, went to bed and did it all over again. Meanwhile, there was a lot of physical abuse and other things happening in the home. And a 3 and 4 year old, he was with his second wife. So eventually, I actually had to plan my escape as a 13-year-old and get out of that house. And I started having seizures right away. Basically, I had grown a brain tumor. And so, yeah, going through high school started out all right. I was acting up like most kids that are abused. So I really related to the kids in juvenile detention. Like you just see all the same things, the same health issues, the same, shoplifting is huge, fighting is huge, drugs, alcohol, obviously. I went through all of that stuff. And my cousins were getting even heavier into drugs. I think the brain tumor saved my life, to tell you the truth, because I never got into meth or heroin or anything else. I was on so many medications, which, got hard at times, like definitely being heavy in the middle of high school. Well, I was jumped one time by full grown men. I was beat up by a group of men for being Mexican, which is interesting because, not really even Mexican, but, just going through all these things and having brain surgery. I had one of my cousins die, one went to prison. My sister got pregnant at 18. Shit kind of hit the fan, right? And so I threw myself into a marriage. And at this point in my life, and I've also been held against my will in the Middle East, me and my kids. I had to get my kids out of a foreign country a couple years ago with no police. So I have literally, people say their why is freedom, but they're just talking about going to the beach when they feel like it or whatever. I don't think that's a deep enough reason to keep being persistent. I never want to be under the control of another human being as long as I live. And I will fight my ass off for that after all that. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
want a better life for my kids. So, and not saying that something can't happen, like, but as far as I can control, right, I'm doing this and I want to be out there, like helping other people that have lived that victim mentality learn how to change that because I didn't even start learning how to do it until in my 40s. So I see all these kids through juvenile detention being told that they're not good enough, that they're not doing their life right when all they're doing is what they were taught. If your mom is pregnant and she's on meth, you're not even born and you're learning that your life is worthless, that you're
Yep.
not worth it. And so instead of helping people see their self-worth, and even like Ed Milet says, I was the same way. I had to feel how my dad was going to be before he walked in the front door to prepare myself for a hug or to get the shit beaten out of me.
Yeah.
And those kids, if you're selling drugs, you can sell a car, you can sell a house, you have talent. These kids had talent, but nobody is telling them that their life is worth it. And I didn't even realize until my 40s how unique I was and that being unique is good. That's how we did this. This company is based off of a mission and being unique and helping people see their self-worth. So, anyway,
Man, Fia, there's so much to unpack there. I mean, I just want to first off just recognize how amazing you are. It's amazing things to overcome. Those are amazing things to overcome. And there's a guy named Rory Vaden, and I heard him say actually on Ed's podcast recently. He said you're uniquely positioned or something, or uniquely qualified to help the person that you once were, right? And so I think of all that you've went through, physical abuse, mental abuse, all the things that you just talked about. I mean, that's a lot, dude. There's a lot there. Just everything that you've overcome there, all of those things. Fia, all of those things are reasons why you could have used those as reasons as to why you can never accomplish what you want to accomplish, right? Well, I can't do this because of, let me tell you about my past. Let me tell you about all this shit that is where the reason that I'm this shitty position today. But dude, what makes you so unique, what makes you so amazing, what makes you so just inspiring is that you did the opposite. Think about that. You did the opposite. I just want to paint this picture because when I asked you, one of the questions that I ask anytime I start an interview is how can we make this as valuable as possible to you? And I wish that I would have even asked that on camera, like on video when we were recording, because the audible is great and I can tell you what the audio is, but your facial reaction was like, oh, I don't know. Shit, I haven't even thought about that. I just want to know. I just want to make sure that I can help other people who are going through dark times out there know that there's sunshine. People who are going through dark times need sunshine. I want to be that sunshine. I just want all of y'all out there to just listen to that for a second. It's so powerful, man. That is so, so, so powerful. And that why is so much deeper than going to the frickin' beach, man. That why is what has continued to push you through to get you to where you are, man. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for overcoming everything that you have. So I have a question with you on that, okay, for you on that. How do you believe that your story, because I believe this, I believe that all of us have this story that is meant to impact other people. So like, how do you believe that your story is meant to impact other people?
Different demographics that feel helpless and hopeless. When I was getting my health degree, I did personal training and I worked with 50 and older. There was a lot of lonely people, a lot of people alone, no family around, no friends around. And, that's who I was drawn to work with at the time. Then my experience at juvenile detention, and those kids don't have the resources that they need. They don't have the love that they need, for God's sake. I mean, not even close. Nobody's building them up or anything like that. So I've just always been drawn to different demographics and even feeling helpless myself. I've been in jobs where I saw them taking money out of people's bank accounts. I've seen some very unethical things at my job, and you just feel helpless. Like, I got divorced at 40, and in a few of my jobs I was just like, oh my gosh, here I am only making $16 an hour with two kids, and this shit isn't even ethical. Like, what am I supposed to do about this? So I just the whole thing of feeling helpless is I've been there, I've had all these rough experiences. And so I feel like God has given me a talent at this intuition, like we were talking about, to where I can see these talents in people that they don't see in themselves, but I also see what's holding them back. And until getting into this business and going through multifamily mindset and really being a part of this amazing network, I didn't even know that. I didn't know I had the creativity to design logos, to piece together a team, to say, okay, this is the direction we're going, this is what we stand for, and keep coordinating every step of the way with the incredible guys that provided me the safety. If I wouldn't have felt safe in that environment, which most people don't feel safe in their W-2 jobs, nobody wants to hear your damn opinion on anything. If those guys didn't make me feel safe, we wouldn't be where we are today, and we've been through some serious ups and downs. You have 6 different ages, races, one woman, five. I mean, there's plenty of reasons for this,
Yeah.
and
And she's
it's
talking,
been that
just
way.
for the
But
record, yeah, she's talking about her partnership, and we'll get into.
let's see.
I would love to get into your partnership, and I want to mention one thing that you just said though, because isn't this so true, or so often this happens where you said you have this unique skill and ability to see the talents in others, but then right after that you were saying that until I joined this network, I didn't know these things about myself. Isn't that so crazy? Like sometimes it's so much easier for us to see powerful things in others than it is for us to see that in ourselves. But I want to drill home on that, because that in of itself is why it's so freaking powerful and necessary to share with people when you find something that's powerful with them. When you see somebody and you see a superpower with them, and you think to yourself, well, they know that already. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But when you just get outside of your shell to share that and tell them that, you have no idea the impact that is going to make. And I see this. I'm coaching my little boy's football team, and I see these kids come to practice and to games, and sometimes they're doing great, and sometimes you can just tell. Like, there's a little kid named Rain yesterday at practice, and he just is not all. He's just, something's going on, And I just pull him to the side, and to the point where he was running laps all damn day, dude. So I pull him to the side, before he gets back from his other lap, and I was like, Rain, hey, pull your mouthpiece out, buddy. Like, look at me for a sec. His head's just down. I'm like, hey, man, soldiers don't have their heads down, man. You put that head up. Look at me, man. What's going on today? You okay? Don't forget about football. Like, tell me what's going on, And I put my arm around him. And we just start chatting about how school was a tough day and how he got in trouble at the house. And I was like, man, that sucks, man. That does happen. I was like, then we bring it full circle. And I was like, but man, I know one of the best ways for you to feel better about you is to go help your team. And your team needs this. I want you to do 2 things. I want you to focus on 2 things the rest of practice. Number 1, playing your hardest, man. Because right now, you've been getting blown up, which means your quarterback keeps getting sacked, and he needs you. And number 2, I want you to show love to other people. The rest of practice, that little dude played so great and showed love to everyone there, and was a complete shift. And it's so powerful. And Fiya, this is what you do on a day-to-day basis, because what makes you unique is not only that you see it, and I want to drill this home because, yes, that is a unique thing that you actually have the heart and take the time to see the power in others. But what makes you unique, and I believe this to my core, is that you actually share it with them. I've been on the other end of that. I was on the other end of that at the beginning of this call. You mentioned things like that, right? You've mentioned things to me multiple times. So I want to talk about your partnership and who these individuals on your team are, but I also want to ask you this. Like, what is it your past that makes you so acutely aware to want to share? And is it uncomfortable for you to share that, when you see somebody's superpower, or does that just come natural to you?
I learned it from my youngest brother, actually. So my dad has multiple kids with multiple wives, and my brother disappeared for a while. His mom went into hiding, like to get away from my dad for a while, and then he popped back up when he was 16. And as a 16-year-old who had obviously been also through a lot of stuff, um, I went down to visit him. I hadn't seen him since he was 2, and we were just out and about in LA, and literally he'd roll down his window and like throw compliments at the car next to him. We'd walk by people and he'd be like, "Man, your shoes. Oh, that is such a nice bracelet." Yeah, and I was like, "What the hell is it? What is this? What is he doing?" And it just sank in after spending a few days with him. It like wow, we're so fast to be like, I don't like this about this person, or, how fast do we share that stuff, especially in workplaces? And honestly, that's just because people aren't being treated well. So it's a normal response to turn against each other. But nobody is telling you, like what you just said, we all have that intuition. We all know when something's right. We all know when something's wrong. And I literally just try to get better at honing in and like listening to what comes, like hunches that you get from God, from the universe. I remember one day there was, for whatever reason, it would be like, call this person and see how they're doing. So we all have it. It's just a matter of, and I think that has made a huge difference in my business. We use these words like value add, and I think people are trying to figure out what that is, when maybe all that is calling. um I've called Ryan Woolley before. I don't know why, just had a hunch, or something told me, like, text Lisa, our sponsor partner, our other partner, and tell her she's a good mom. I don't know, and then she'd message me back and be like, "Man, this has been a bummer day. Wow." So we all have that. It's just a matter of whether or not it's going to come out of your mouth.
You just inspired me.
Listen to yourself, basically, your own hunch.
You totally just inspired me, because I will tell you that I sincerely believe that if we're not feeling the best, that the way out of that is to help somebody else feel great, right? I believe that to my core, but I'll tell you, I know that I haven't been doing that lately. Like, I'll get these hunches, right, like you just said, and I haven't been acting on those. Why? Because I'm so busy. There's so much shit. I'm just busy. Yeah, we all are, though. Like, that's just an excuse, because what's more important, I believe, human connection is the whole purpose of life. And so you just inspired me, man. I am absolutely, I want to carve out time. I literally want to start carving out time in my calendar to just do that. I love that. I freaking love that you just shared that. And I also love this, because you said, because so many people listening to this may think, hey, this is a real estate mindset podcast, but we're talking about things. You guys haven't even talked about real estate. Yes, we have, man. We've been talking about business this whole time. You just don't even know. And so what I love is that you said, this has really helped me in my business, right? This connection, this ability to reach out has helped me in my business. So can you explain that? Like, how has that helped you in your business? How do you think that helped you scale to the point where you're at now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny, we live in a grind bust your ass society. Like, go on your phone right now and look at Instagram and how many people are telling you that you should be working from sun up to sundown, and what kind of car you should drive and all that. Well, I learned from throwing myself into a marriage at 21, because that was the thing at the time that was going to make me normal,
Yeah.
right? So I've done all these things I should do that led to a very miserable life, and relying on things like alcohol or whatnot. So After I got divorced, and I kind of actually, it was more like 3 years ago, I started reading books. And that's the awesome thing about any real estate, like getting into residential real estate. People are reading Think and Grow Rich and da da da. So I started getting into those books, and the ones geared towards the subconscious mind were the most attractive to me because I knew, like, hey, I worked from 5 a.m. to 9 as a 12-year-old. Like, that is not my problem. My problem is all the beliefs in my head that were planted in there when I was a kid, being beat up or abused or told in class, like, why do you look different or, whatever. So
Yeah.
I started really focusing in on those practices. So with meditation and visualization and when you put new things in your head and you release things when you're in the alpha brainwave states in meditation, right? So the more I could like hone in and quiet my mind and feel things, throughout my day, I would be guided, like which broker should I call? So it's like you're working, but you're taking inspired steps, right? Like something just pops in your head in the day and you do it. Like, oh, call this broker. Or, oh, you know what? You should just do a video on random whatever. Some of it relates none to real estate. Honestly, it's mostly about vulnerability and how to change your mindset that I talk about. I'm not an apartment expert, I'm learning still. But there are things that I feel pretty solid on, and when I get those messages to talk about it, then I just post it. And I haven't not even looked the best in some of those videos, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I just post it anyway, more for my own courage, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
the uncomfortability.
Dude, it really, and then what happens when you post those? Okay, so here's what's beautiful. You're posting those because you've got this inspiration to post, right? And I think that so many people, this is a separator. I literally believe to my core this is a success separator, because too many people are like, okay, I need to get these things in place before I take action. And I believe the success separator is those who are able to go from inspiration to action as quickly as possible, to remove all those steps that they need to actually take action and go from inspiration to action. That inspiration to record a video and just be like, fuck it, I'm posting it. I don't care if I don't have my makeup perfect or the lighting's not perfect or whatever the hell it is. It's like, I'm just going to post it. That's powerful. That's a powerful thing to literally change your identity, you know?
I was just reading in this Napoleon Hill book about those who succeed don't have all the steps laid out. That like you just do it, you just act. And that's how I felt coming into this. Like, honestly, I can tell you, I was like on broker calls going, I have no damn clue what I'm talking about right now. But I was not going to sit behind my computer preparing my website and this, that, and the other that was actually just going to hold me back from getting started. Those steps are not people. Those steps are not, actually going to move the needle. Do you need it at some point? Maybe, I don't know,
Sure. Yeah.
but does it really matter in your business? No, it doesn't. What really matters is you pick up the damn phone. And if you sound like an idiot, you sound like an idiot. I did.
We all do. We all do, man. I just believe that self-doubt is the number one killer for anyone or anything. It's because self-doubt will keep you. I believe that the adversary's greatest tools, Fiya, are fear, distraction, self-doubt. Why? Because they stop you from taking action. And so when I understood that, like you had held up this book before we started, How to Own Your Own Mind. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I absolutely love that book by Napoleon Hill. And another one that I love from him is called, have you ever read Outwitting the Devil? Absolutely one of my favorite books too, because it really helped me understand the adversary, right? And I believe in a like a positive force and a negative force. I just believe that. I'm fairly spiritual, but when I understand, like, oh my God, like this is the shit that is holding me back, because it's meant to hold me back, because that's the greatest tool that the adversary has. That's self-doubt, dude, being freaking one of the biggest. It's like, I think about the world we live in today. Hey, if you post something on social media and it's not perfect, man, people are going to light you up. You post something on here, people are going to freaking make fun of you. Or, you go to school and you say something, people are going to make fun of you. These teens that we're talking about, right? Like, there's so much out there, but in reality, fuck, everybody's so worried about themselves that, shit, man, they don't even recognize most of the time. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, I get all sorts of mean comments on my posts. And I'm just to this point now. In the beginning, I'll be honest with you, it impacted me. It affected me. But now, I mean, it's funny as shit. It's like it's funny to me. It's like, my gosh, man, what a crazy thing that somebody spends their time doing, right? Like, so the fact that you just move to action and take action and you eliminate this self-doubt and just go, that's why you've been able to scale. That's why you've been able to do what you've been able to do. That's why you've been able to make the impact that you've been able to make. That's why you'll continue to make an even greater impact, is because you have wired yourself to do that, to just take action. It's so powerful, man.
And like we mentioned before, the team as well, you surround yourself with other people that are the same way. And I didn't know, honestly. I mean, we were strangers basically. So it's not like we knew at the time, but for we came together oddly organically, and it's just, you know, everyone was just like so focused on getting that first deal. And we had fun, when there's times when our meetings just got very mechanical, like, okay, let's go through a checklist. I was like, listen, I could go back to a job and be bored just like this. You know what I mean? So, and part of us receiving what we want is being prepared. And I've learned from ups and downs over a year with these guys that when we're unified and joyful and having fun and lifting each other up, business is happening. When we're just like meeting and hey, what are we doing? Bye, or whatever, things are not happening. Because if you don't have unity, you're not prepared, you
Yeah.
know?
That's exactly it, man. There is a rhythm to success. There's a rhythm to momentum, right? And I believe that a big part of that rhythm of success is happiness, man. A joyful happiness, like literally just having fun. There's nothing more attractive than somebody that enjoys what they're doing. And it's what Ryan and I love about Lisa and Greg. Lisa and Greg are just fun, dude. They were just so different than what, a lot of the other people that we'd come across in the space, and they're just fun. I love them. And I'll tell you, Ryan and I would never be where we're at without them. And I know you obviously have a great relationship with them because they're a partner. Both of us were sponsors on that 172 unit deal, right? And I love them, and they're just great. And you just know, like, they're gonna have fun. And I love that about them. It is. You need somebody in that group though to remind you all the time.
There's 10 of us. You can imagine like 10 crazy people together. The four of them and the six of us has been very interesting at times.
Yeah.
But that it kind of goes back too to what I was saying about how we're all talking with these words value add and these kind of, it has to be some kind of technical thing that you can do for someone. And one of the biggest joys for me in this last year is I have friends. I've been in Boise, Idaho, so freaking lonely for 18 years. It's not even funny. I mean, gosh, that's a whole nother story in itself. And the friends that Multifamily Mindset that joining this network provided me, Lisa and I text every day as friends.
I
If
love
we
that.
never did another deal together, you know what? So be it. She told me she was tired, and I was like, good. A lot of new people would be like, oh shit, my business is stopping. Da, 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 da. And I was like, well, maybe we just need to look for another sponsor because you need to do what's best for you and your health and your happiness, and the friendships are just amazing, not just
Yeah.
them, but so many people I've made friends with in the network. It's amazing, really.
I love that you pointed that out because it is the unique part of multifamily, because multifamily is such a team sport, and the network, I mean, dude, it's what we preach all the time, is that team environment, the team sport. And so it goes, I always say we're so much more than just a real estate education company, man. We are a mindset, personal development company that helps people acquire apartments, and the network is so tight knit because they have this same view of you. It's like, dude, let's not just be business partners. Like, dude, let's change each other's lives on a personal level as a friendship, right? And then that makes business all that more meaningful. Dude, Ryan's my best friend. Ryan's my best friend. Like, growing and moving together with him in this business has been like, that's been fun because, dude, he's my best friend, and he is my best friend because of all that we've went through to grow our businesses, you know? And dude, nobody has more fights than Ryan and I probably. I mean, should we? Because it's a there's a lot of shit going on in a business. That's just reality. But we also love and respect each other enough to be able to be like, okay, our friendship is way bigger than anything else. So we will preserve that over anything else. Does that make sense? Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
I love
pretty
it.
awesome. Ryan was a big part in us getting that
Yeah.
first deal for sure. He was mentoring us. I remember him being at the 3-day events out of, in whatever random state. And he gets on his little phone on Zoom. And I'm like thinking, this guy's like running this huge business. He has all these apartments. He's traveling out of the state speaking for 3 days or there helping you or whatnot. And you actually go in another room and keep your appointment with us every week to mentor us. Like I was so blown away by that. And that's part of the reason I get reached out to a lot on Facebook, like how did you do that? How did you make a team? How did you get a first deal? And I spend a lot of time helping other people for that very reason.
Yeah.
Not
Man,
you, him, Lisa, Greg, so many people, but
it is. I love that you recognize that though. But I want to tie in what you just said, okay? You spend time helping other people because somebody spent time helping you, right? And you see the value there. But that is also just what makes it so. You never know the impact you're gonna have, man. You never know the impact you're gonna have on somebody. Like Ryan spending the time and honoring his commitment to come and help y'all. I promise you this. I know Ryan, and I know that we've talked about your calls multiple times, and I know the impact that had on Ryan. No, the impact that had on Ryan. And what's crazy is because when you give, you're getting so much, right? And I know you're seeing it, but you were also giving in that portion as well, right? So many times I think that we forget, like by recognizing somebody else's genius and truly letting them serve us, that's actually what they're uniquely qualified to do. That's what they're meant. That's how they find joy. Sometimes we think that that's a burden to somebody when in reality, dude, we're literally giving them an opportunity to live their purpose. That's fucking powerful. Let people live their purpose. Help people live their purpose. I love it. Okay, Fiya. No. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
Giving all the time, but energy goes two ways, right? So when you don't allow yourself to accept help from other people, that's your ego, that's your pride, because you could take that help, you can better yourself, and then you are in a much better suited position to help other people. So when we say no, someone said it like this, and I can't remember who it was. It's like someone sticking out their hand to help you, and you literally just smacked it down. Like when you think about it visually, then it's like when people are like, oh, no, no, thanks, I can't, that's too much. Like you just slap their hand down, you
Yeah.
know,
I love that visual.
other people at some point.
Now you think about that cycle, right? The only I believe true fulfillment is found in two basic ways: growing and giving. And the only way that the only reason we really grow is to be in a better position, like you said, to give. And so when we are refusing help from somebody that's trying to give to us, we're also refusing our future self to be able to grow, which also limits your ability to give. It's like this vicious cycle, right? Like allow yourself to get some help, remove the ego so that you can grow and be in a position to give. And then that cycle is a prosperous one instead of a detrimental one. So you're powerful. I'm so grateful that we were able to jump on and call. Like I didn't know a lot of the stuff that we just talked about today. I didn't.
I told you I'd tell you eventually. I remember texting you when I first started and saying, you know what? I've been through so much shit in my life, and you will know someday because all of this is going to help other people change as well. I knew at some point I would share my story with you, and that's like part of it. Obviously, there's not, all the time to go through everything, but just like I said earlier, like what's funny? I think we are who we were when we were like 5. Think about like your 5-year-old character before the world told you to sit down and shut up and sit in a class all day and be like everyone else. And why do you look different? And why do you talk different? Before that, I was this adventurous little kid that wanted to create adventures and tell everybody what to do. Like, oh, you go over there and do that, you go over there and do that, and it's funny, like that's your character. That's who you are. Sometimes you can actually know by looking back on that.
I love that. I love that perspective you just said. Like you can, if you're trying to find yourself, well, reflection. I believe reflection is one of God's greatest gifts. Like reflect back and reflect back to the point where you believe you maybe lost yourself. Like what is that? Who were you? That's a great way to find yourself. I love that. That's powerful right there. That's a great actionable to take. I love that you weaved in meditation and all these different things to help with the subconscious, because I believe doing that, we live in such this busy information society that things coming at us freaking rapid pace. So when we can just take a second to slow down, it's like giving space in a fire right between the logs so that the fire can breathe and burn. It's like the same thing that meditation does, that opens you up to reflective periods like that really freaking help you grow. What you've overcome, Fiya, is incredible, and what you're accomplishing is incredible, and I'm so grateful that I get to be a part of the journey and watch the journey. It's very fun for me, and I just listen. All y'all out there listening to this, if you do not know her, you need to know her. I'm going to put your links and everything, whatever links you send over to us that you would like to connect. Maybe even say it now, man. I'll put them in the bio, but how can people get in touch with you?
Through Facebook Messenger. I'm old school, so I prefer, just straight up. I don't care if it's a phone conversation or, if people want to hit me up through Messenger, we can always exchange contact info, but I just prefer talking. You feel people's energy. If you can look them in the eyes and sit in front of them, it's even better, which is ironic because back to business, it makes all the difference in the world if you sit in front of people, because they can feel if you're trustworthy or not. And that's the
Yeah.
thing in this business, brokers don't get paid until the deal closes. Are you trustworthy enough for them to build a relationship with your sponsors? Are you trustworthy enough? We all want it right now, but are you even prepared for it at all? Like to do the work mentally, emotionally, everything.
Yeah. And what makes you trustworthy is literally a decision to be trustworthy, a decision to do it. But what's crazy is if you haven't really on a subconscious a conscious level made that decision to execute, well, you could be telling somebody that you're going to execute, but they will not feel that. People feel your intentions way more than they hear what you say, right? And so I believe that it's something that I've never even at one time remotely doubted your ability to execute. Not because you told me, hey, Tyler, I'm going to execute. It's because you made a decision to execute. But here's the thing. Now knowing all that you have went through and overcome, multifamily real estate's a fucking cakewalk compared to that shit. Like, of course you're going to execute, because if you can overcome all that stuff, like, yeah, closing a deal, yeah, you're going to be good. You're going to be just fine, right?
Said that actually. I'm like, when you go think about it, if people are getting discouraged because your offer wasn't accepted, like I guarantee you've been through so much worse in your life than that, or broker laughing at you or something like that. Like I've had my ass kicked. Like, are you like, no, I've had brain surgery. So let's find another offer. I don't know. I'm not saying I never feel like um discouraged or competitive or like in my ego. I think the hardest time is actually when you get your first deal, because you're not looking up anymore. You're looking straight, or you're kind of looking down, like okay, well, I'm here, so now I should, all the killer shoulds, I should have another deal. Oh my God, I'm a loser. I don't have a second deal going. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, believe me, we all do it, and it goes back to the meditation. I literally have to go in and adjust my feelings. If you're waiting for some outer circumstance to make you feel good or fulfilled or achieved, I will tell you, you will be so highly disappointed. I mean, looking back at the last year, the best times were the pursuit of the deal, not the closing of the
Mm,
deal. Oh,
mm.
the best though was getting that LOI accepted and all this.
I was there, man. I freaking loved that so much, man. I remember that like I was actually in this same office right here, standing right in the doorway on speakerphone. I'll never forget it. It was awesome. I loved it.
Didn't mean the deal was going to close. And that was one of the most joyful, fun times. I felt so accomplished. When the deal closed, it was kind of like I didn't allow myself to celebrate. It was like, okay, great, let's keep going. I didn't allow myself to feel that gratitude. And I went through, all of us, all six of us, we went through months of hardship after that, you know.
Oh
But
yeah.
when we felt the joy and when we've been unified and everything just has been flowing.
Oh, it's so true. And the more that we can just recognize that really so much of the joy is on the pursuit, and which means if you're on the pursuit right now and you're not feeling that joy, you're missing it. You're missing it. Yes, it's great to get a deal at the closing table. It is. That's awesome. You're going to love that too. But damn it, I promise you, like I look back at some of these deals some of the most challenging deals we've ever done were with Lisa and Greg in the very beginning. And I remember like being on the phone with them every single day, going through grinding, like we're gonna lose the deal. Oh my gosh, okay, we lost. We're working on 2 deals. We're gonna just lost both of them, or like it's just like this crazy ride, right? But looking back on that, man, and it sounds weird, but I
And
like
it was challenging.
oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so much
definitely.
growth happened in that moment. So much growth happened in those moments, and so to look back at those, like yeah, no, the pursuit is joyful. Don't miss the ride. Like, don't allow yourself to miss that joy. Find that joy in the moment every day, man. Yes, shit's gonna get challenging. Yes, there's gonna be times that you have this self-doubt lingering. Well, and you're thinking the wrong way. Well, dude, get that shit out of the way and have a better perspective. Like Fiya has just freaking masterfully laid out for you today, and your life will change. Period. And you'll actually find, instead of just waiting for this change, you'll actually find joy as you're changing it. God, it's powerful. It's powerful. Fiya, you're amazing, man. I seriously am super grateful. I'm super grateful for you, for yes, coming on here. I'm also grateful for you being part of the network. I'm also grateful for you unbecoming who you were and becoming who you are, man. Because I know the impact that, dude, it had an impact on me today. I'm telling you right now, you inspired me to actually take initiative on the inspirations that I have not been doing. And I know that I'm a fraction of the people that will impact from hearing this, and that you've already impacted and will continue to impact. You're amazing. I appreciate you. As a person, I appreciate you. So
Thank you. Well, you were one of my biggest inspirations, honestly. Like I said, just watching those videos, you can feel the energy. You are funny. You like give people something to look at to go, man, I want to be more like that. So it gives people um, something to start stepping towards in multiple different ways. The way you treat people, just a bunch of different things. So yeah, definitely. I appreciate you as well. And one thing I really hope to happen out of this network is you said earlier about working with teenagers. I didn't know that, because one of my dreams starting this was my avenue to start that program out for kids coming out of juvenile detention or being shuffled around between there, the mental hospital, and then maybe the motel where their mom's doing drugs. And it's just this cycle until they turn 18. And I've met multiple people through this network, and maybe it's not just that. There's other things. People care about veterans, they care about abused women and children, that they can actually come together. And as we're doing business and making more and more money, I really hope that we can also start some organizations and things together for like connect with the other students on what your passions are,
yes,
and put that spin on your business as well. Like nobody wants to have a boring conversation about the technicalities of things with every single person they talk to. Like the broker we bought the deal from, his father's from Lebanon. I didn't know that for a long time. My father's from Lebanon. That's a teeny tiny little country. Like,
totally.
is that like, the fact that that happens means that there's some reason that we came together. And Lebanon is going through real hardships. And I've met other people in this business that also care about Lebanon. So that tells me that we need to come together with the things we all care about and start doing something about it. And that's the message I've been trying to put out.
I love that. That's awesome. And you know what? That's an actionable for every single person on the call. So if you can align with somebody on a why, right? What your why is, what motivates you. Like, let's say that's your first step to even deciding who to partner with. You can align there. Well, then as a partnership, you can freaking get through anything, man, because your why is aligned together. Hey, we can't stop because remember this bigger purpose together that both freaking just drill home to the core for you, you know? I love that. You're awesome. Thank you sincerely so much for taking the time to be on the Growth Cast for the Aloha Friday side. And Fiya, and once again, all of y'all out there, we'll put her links in here. Connect with her. She has awesome deals coming across the table that she's working on all the time. Invest, ways for you to be able to put your money to work. Reach out to her and connect with her for sure. Fiya, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And all y'all out there, remember, kick ass like Fiya, and then also live always with aloha. Peace.